And the question is it really worth the price? Look, y'all know I'm gonna be honest, so let's get into it. So let's talk all things GoWild. You probably clicked on this video because you are absolutely intrigued about GoWild, just found out about it, or you just want to know the tea of how GoWild DC was. So if you're unfamiliar with what exactly GoWild is, it is a creative planner conference where people come together and meet their internet besties. We also have an amazing line of speakers and panelists, as well as a newest addition within the past 2 years, Wild Crop, where we get together and make crafts. So if you've ever been someone who had to explain why you still use a paper planner and not your phone, or if you are someone who have to explain what exactly a Cricut is, this conference is full of people like you where that conversation does not even need to happen. What is known does not have to be explained. And this is what GoWild magic is. So every year GoWild is in a different location. This year will be officially the 6th year of GoWild, and it was in Washington, D.C. It was such an amazing time. For me, I was able to come in a little bit early and do a little bit of sightseeing. This was my first time in DC, so I did want to check out the monuments, the memorials, and a few of the museums. But for the main event, the actual GoWild conference began on Thursday. Thursday is all about registration. They had activation rooms, places where you can actually shop. Zebra did a little bit of pins that you can actually purchase from them. There are plenty of different areas for each brand, like booths set up so you can get to know the owners. There were a few pop-up meet and greets for some of the speakers, and it was just a good time as you picked up your registration bag. This year, registration seemed to go a lot smoother. I didn't see any like super long lines because they actually mailed out badges ahead of time for people who purchased tickets. And of course, if you left your badge or if you did not buy the ticket in time, you had an option to pick up a badge at registration. So for Thursday night, there's actually a welcome party and there's karaoke, which is absolutely my favorite. I love to sing horribly and have a good time. I actually sang Nicki Minaj Did It On Him, which has been the theme song of my year. I feel like every time I go to GoWild, I'm going to have a theme song of the year and sing it at the welcome party. But of course, we get into the conference Friday morning. Friday is full of table sponsors where they actually really go ham on the tables. There are so many options. I was lucky enough to get to a table that had literally a Cricut Joy set up for everybody at the table, and it was just dope. Seriously, there is no bad seat in the house. You had table sponsors from like Notique, Happy Planner, Erin Condren, tons of smaller shops. I think Once More with Love had a table, Villa Beautiful, Simply Gilded. There is so many amazing shops that did a table and took it to the next level. So again, not a bad seat in the house. This is something that you probably heard of people lining up like 4 a.m. in the morning just to get in line early. That is something that they changed this year and limited people to lining up at 6 a.m. So I do like that a bit of addition. Because y'all, get y'all sleep. Do not be lining up just to get a certain table. But I get it. You want the table you want and you're super excited to sit at it. So I understand. But that is all in. So much fun on Friday. And then we get a ton of speakers. A little mini break in between. And Friday night is Wild Crops. Wild Crop is a new addition to Wild. This is the 2nd year of it, and I think it was a much improved session from last year. There still needs to be a little bit of tweaks, but I do love the breakout sessions. I do love the huge section before the breakout, and it was just overall a good time. Saturday is another amazing day full of speakers. This is usually where Table Mate Gifts, and if you are unfamiliar with Table Mate Gifts, these are optional, and I put that in all quotes. These are optional gifts that each individual decides to bring for their table mates, and they just exchange it. Usually you will bring 9 because excluding yourself, there are 10 seats at the table, and you pass it around on Saturday. Saturday was also full of amazing sessions with amazing speakers. I think Saturday this year was my absolute favorite. Every single speaker up there spoke directly to me, and it was just a really good time. A really, really good time. But for Saturday night, it is the last hurrah. It is the planned jam up party. We get up in our PJs. We have a blast. The bar is open. Food is flowing, and you are just having a good time. I think a lot of people use this time to finally say and speak to people who maybe they were nervous to say and hi to throughout the whole conference, because this is your last moment. So for this year's Go Wild, I was kind of bouncing around. I was doing backstage interviews with some of the speakers, which you guys can see that over on the Planners and Wines Instagram page. There's a few over on Wild for Planners Instagram page as well. That was such a good time. It was such a surreal moment for me to kind of get these one-on-one conversations immediately after the speakers were on stage. I also did a few lives here and there for a while. So if you want to kind of see me in action, I'll definitely drop the links down below to see more of the actual live conversations with people who were attendees, speakers, some of your fave shop owners and creators within this planner space. So definitely check out those lives. Those will actually give you some additional kind of behind the scenes feedback, which I enjoyed doing this year. I really, really love interacting with not only the speakers, but the people who are intended as well. So with that being said, I did ask you guys over on my Instagram at Myra Plans It if you guys had any questions or hot takes or anything that you wanted me to answer about Go Wild. And I got some good questions, y'all. First question I have is, what were some of the activities that they have? And I'm assuming they mean like things interactive that people can do. This year, like I said, the new edition was Wild Crop. That was all reimagined. We had the first one last year and it was completely revamped. I was pleasantly pleased with how Wild Crop was handled. I think there could be a few tweaks, like with the breakout sessions. It was very hard to hear the presenter within such a smaller room. So maybe if there is like some kind of mic or sound system that we can have in the smaller rooms. I would also like to see like a digital workshop. Darian did amazing as a speaker, but I heard that a lot of people, it kind of went over a lot of people's heads just in the big room. I think like a digital workshop will be better in a smaller session for people who like bring their iPads and are actually curious and into learning a little bit more about digital planning, for example. So yeah, those were a few tweaks that I personally think could happen. There's also the welcome party, which is all about karaoke and having a good time. Is one of my favorite. And of course, playing JAMA. Those are a few activities that are offered in the course. Come early and do like some sightseeing and stuff on your own. But for the actual conference, those are some of the kind of activities that they have. Next question I have is, what is the good, bad, and ugly of this year's Go Wild? Kind of similar to what we did with the podcast last year. So last year, if you aren't familiar with the Planners and Wine podcast, again, you can find it linked below. That is a podcast where I co-host with my bestie Meg, so Meg Got a Plan. And we kind of did a 3-episode tier recapping Go Wild Anaheim. That was our very first Go Wild. It was actually, we were actually speakers on the main stage at Go Wild there. So that was an amazing experience. To be honest with you, I don't think something like that is going to happen, because there really wasn't a good, bad, and ugly of DC. We have to remember, we just kind of came out of the pandemic. I know that we're still in it, but Anaheim was the first conference outside of the pandemic. There was a lot of adjustments. Speakers didn't go as planned. So I think we have to keep that into perspective when it comes to Go Wild Anaheim. First conference had to be moved not once but twice, and you know, this is a whole new world. Like, this is it was a huge adjustment for everybody coming together. 1,500 people in one room is just, you know, was a huge adjustment. So we did break down the episode because there was so much that had went on. If you want to check that out, like I said, I'll leave those episodes down in the description box below. But for this year, I really don't think that is going to be too much of the case. There really wasn't any ugly. Thank God, because last year there were some things that really didn't even have anything to do with the conference themselves. Just certain people who were there just kind of put a damper on the experience is what I'll say. You can definitely check that out if you're interested. But this year there really wasn't. One thing that I have a little bit of criticism about, again, is not being able to hear the presenters during the breakout sessions at Wild Crop. Also, the hotel this year to me was not up to par. Again, that's not really necessarily something that is the conference fault. The actual ballroom was stunning, absolutely amazing, historic. That is the same ballroom where Obama did his infamous mic drop. So that was all good. There was pretty bad cell service, so it kind of made it hard for people like me who was working with the social team to do our jobs. So those little tweaks, which again, I don't think is something that can be held against the conference itself. It's just something, things happen. So again, I don't think it's really going to be a breakdown, but y'all know we're going to get y'all the tea. So make sure y'all go ahead and listen over at Planners and Wine for our back and forth recap of Go Out. Okay, next question was, who was my favorite speaker at the conference? And surprisingly, I was not expecting this, but Frank from Post Secrets was actually my favorite speaker. I had the privilege of speaking with him backstage. I actually spoke with him before he got on and after. And honestly, positivity just radiates, and warmth just radiates off of Frank. Super easy to talk to, super easy to communicate, and I felt like his session was the most peaks and valleys. I felt like I went on a journey throughout his session. There was some crying moments, there was some laughing moments, there was some middle of the road moments, and I feel like I went on a journey with him in understanding what Post Secrets is. I was not familiar with his work before he was announced. I did do a little bit of research, but his session really opened my mind, and I think it was something that we all need to hear. Y'all know, if y'all follow me, if y'all listen to the podcast, y'all know that sometimes there can be a little bit of animosity between certain little subsections of the planner community based off of what planner you use. And I think his message in just reminding everybody that while we are all different, there are some aspects of us that are the same, and we need to embrace that. And I feel like that was the message that really needs to be heard in that room that day. Next question is, what did I like least about Go Wild this year? And to be honest, there wasn't a specific thing that I like least with the conference itself. The only thing I would say is just the hotel. I felt like the hotel, just for the price, just was not up to par. I was expecting 2 queen beds. When I tell you we walked in there, it was 2 full beds. Full. The size bed that my 5-year-old son has. No, ma'am. No, ma'am, not for that price. Okay, so this question, y'all, this question is one of the most in my inbox right now. And the question is it really worth the price? Look, y'all know I'm gonna be honest, so let's get into it. If you are asking me specifically, yes, absolutely worth the price. The calibers of speakers that you get, we have Renee, we have Frank from Post Secrets, we have Alex L. These are high level speakers that you are getting for this conference. And that comes with a price, y'all. That does come with a price. You're getting premium location, even thinking about the ballroom, that ballroom is freaking massive. Also, usually Wild is in a major city. D.C. is not cheap, y'all. So for the price, yes, absolutely, absolutely worth it. For me, Go Wild is really where I met my best friends. At this point, I cannot imagine my life without these people. And yeah, obviously I had conversations and talk with them pre Go Wild, but being together, being able to have this experience together with Anaheim and now DC, it really solidified our relationship. From Anaheim literally to DC, I have talked to these people every single day, and that is just priceless for me. This is what GoWild is for me. It is about the people. It is around being around my people. It's about spending time with my folks. So for that, like I said, it is absolutely priceless to me. But I understand where people are asking, like, is it worth it? Because it is not cheap. It is not cheap. But if we want to talk about the overall conference, as far as the experience that you get, the level of caliber that you get, I still would agree that yes, these things come with a price. Like I said, premium speakers, events, we having welcome party, we're having planned jammas. Some of these things are open bar. Honestly, fully worth the price, but here will be my tips. If I'm going to be honest with you, here will be my tips. For one, do not go into debt trying to go to GoWild. Make a plan, make a budget, lay it out. If it's not in the cards for you for 2024, maybe it could be in the cards for you for 2025. Do what you need to do. If you truly want to be there, just do not go into debt trying to get to this place. Two, again, every GoWild is at a different city, different location. While I'm sure you are looking at this video, researching if it is worth something to invest in for you, do not compare the prior GoWilds to the next. They always say the next one is the best one, and I can attest to that. I've been to two. While Anaheim has a special place in my heart because it is my first GoWild, and like I said, this is something that really solidified my core friendship, and I loved them to death. So Anaheim is always going to have a special place for me. 110% DC was way better than Anaheim, and at whatever location we are next time, I think is 100% going to be better than DC. The GoWild team definitely takes feedback into consideration. They definitely want to level up every year. They want the next one to be even better and keep growing and growing. So if you want to give some feedback, if you've been and something did not sit well with you, definitely email the WOW team because they do listen, they do take into account. And my biggest, the biggest example of that is honestly WOW Crop. It was not the greatest at Anaheim last year. Honestly, it was a mess. And they understood that and they did their tweaks and it made it so much better. Could it still be improved? Absolutely. But that is where you want to see, especially if you're paying such a premium price to be at these conferences, you want to see the evolution. And Wild Crop is a perfect example of that. 3, do not come for the swag. Don't come for the swag. And this person that asked the question that I'm reading right now, they don't care about the swag. They just want to meet their planner people. And if that is your reason, girl, make a way to get there because there is something about the GoWild magic in the air. I like to call it magic because that's truly what it feels like. If you've been talking to people for years, it's something about being in the same room at GoWild that will just blossom the friendship into something that you could not even imagine. So if your core thing is to meet your favorite planner people or meet your core planner besties, definitely make the adjustments so you can be there. But again, don't come for swag. The swag is good. Y'all, I don't share my swag because that is not the message I want to bring with GoWild. I don't want people to think like, oh my God, you're going to get a ton of swag, but you do get a ton of swag. But that is not the core reason for GoWild for me. At least, and I suggest that it doesn't be for you. Next question is there enough time in between sessions to do any sightseeing? Absolutely not. Do not depend on the hours in between the main sessions and the nighttime sessions to do your sightseeing. Main sessions typically end around 2 p.m. and the nighttime stuff typically starts about 7. So you have about 5 hours of time. When I tell you the sessions are so good, specifically this year, the sessions was so good, but it was so immersive that for me, I am very much an introvert. It did take a lot out of me that I needed the time to kind of decompress. You are going to be sleep deprived because you don't want to miss anything. You're probably going to be up early trying to get a table on Friday, or maybe you were out late the night before hanging out with friends, whatever. You're going to be sleep deprived. You're going to be hungry because you got up early and didn't eat breakfast. You know, you're going to want to probably take a nap before the nighttime sessions. It's just not enough time for you to do sightseeing. If you insist on doing some kind of sightseeing, my suggestion will be to come a day early. Let that be your sightseeing day. Let that be the chill day. And then go into the conference. I know a lot of people usually use Sunday as their sightseeing day. I don't recommend that because Go Wild hangover is real. Okay, last but not least, this question is tips on finding other planner conference more locally and affordable. Here's the thing with affordability. It's such something that is unique for everybody. What could be, Go Wild could be affordable for somebody. Go Wild could be out of somebody's budget. It just really depends on where you are. There are a ton of smaller conferences, Chicago Planner Conference, Planner Memory Socials. I know that there are a lot in Texas. There are a lot in Florida. You just have to research your area and see if they have any local like meetups. Literally all of these conferences kind of build from a meetup. So check out your local meetups if you're looking for something a little bit more smaller, and just research what's in your area. If you are willing, like my first conference was actually Chicago Planner Conference, where I would say that's the next biggest conference in this community after Go Wild. There was about 500 in attendees. That was back in 2020. They haven't been back since. I think they're coming back this year though. That's all I have for you guys. I hope you learned something more about Go Wild with this video. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. And yay, I'm so excited to be back on YouTube. And I had such an amazing time at Go Wild. All in all, 100% worth it for me. But you have to know what is worth it for you. You have to know what your budget is. You have to know all that stuff. So again, Go Out is in a different place every year. You cannot compare the last one to the one before, but I hope these tips in this video helped you. And like I said, look out for those other smaller conferences around you. There are plenty of them that can fit your budget, that is closer to you, whatever you need it to be. Honestly, if you're like me, very introverted, very weary, want to kind of get a feel, I would suggest doing a smaller one before Go Wild because it is a lot. It's a lot of good, but it is a lot. But thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye. Oh, it's recording. Y'all see all this stuff on my desk? This is what we call Go Wild fatigue. I have not been able to clear out this desk at all. This is all the stuff that I crafted before I left for Go Wild. It's probably gonna sit there for a few more days. I ain't gonna hold you.